10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You
Hey, are you tired of the media spinning the truth and pushing false narratives upon you? Well, take a look at this. Over
Hang
the
on,
last
folks.
2 years, while the mainstream media
That's
has
not
been
what we
pushing the
want
vote-
here. That's an ad. Hang on. Trying to get that fixed. And let's see if we can get this right.
And bright stars through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the stars sprinkle then iron way? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, folks. I'm glad to be back here with you. This is Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I am here with you again today on No Soundbites Allowed. Hopefully your most favorite podcast talking about politics, talking about life, talking about everything. And we're looking forward to today. We're going to be talking with a favorite guest of the show, Mr. Larry Sharpe. He is the former candidate for the Libertarian Party for the governor of New York in 2018. Did an excellent job. He got the Libertarian Party recognized as an official party in the state of New York. He's a former Marine. He's an excellent individual, and I've had many conversations with him. God knows we've almost always gone over on our time. We were expecting to speak at about 1 o'clock today, and he got delayed because of meetings. He's been all over New York State. People have probably seen him, and I believe that's him right now, so bear with me a moment, folks. That you, Larry? All right, give me 2 seconds. Let me put you on, and we'll be live. One moment, folks. We're going to put Larry on in just 2 seconds here. And Larry, can you hear me there?
I can.
All right. Give me a second. I'm going to try and improve your sound a little bit here so everyone can hear you. And I'm just making sure we can get it up. Is that better?
Sounds good. I am good.
Okay, you're coming across really well here. And I was just letting people know a little bit about you. And we've been talking now, and I was checking it out. We've actually been having conversations since about 2016, you
Yes.
and I. We've been talking about the governor's race. We've talked about guns. We've talked about, well, every issue that affects people in New York State as well as in the nation, I believe. That right?
I think we've covered just about everything.
Yes, indeed. And some people think it's because we're both Marines, but I think it's just because we have great conversations.
Well, I got to tell you, some people who I speak with, they're very much concerned about pushing their own agenda. That's one thing I've never seen you do. You've always tried to be someone who is actually trying to get the data out and looked, even if you disagreed, you still looked at both sides and you try to get information out. And that I really appreciated.
Well, that's how else are we going to learn? How else are we going to know if we got the right answer or not? That's the
Very
way
true.
I look at it.
Yes.
And you got to have the conversation because I always believe none of us, we're all human, none of us have the perfect answer. But if we get enough of us together talking about something, we'll get to the right answer, or at least
Well,
close to
I
it.
like the idea that you brought up, the idea of no sound bites allowed, because as I traveled the state last year and the year before, I found that more and more people are angry with the sound bites. They actually want longer form. They want more answers. And the damage that's been done to our nation by different groups has been done over the course of decades. It's impossible for someone to fix it in 1 minute. The idea is here's a list of all the horrible things about our country. Larry Sharpe, 1 minute, tell us how you're going to fix it. Impossible, right? It can't be done. So I think having a platform to where there's actually more communication, better communication, nothing but a win.
Absolutely. And for people who didn't notice, that was a very subtle allegory or reference to the July 2020 Democratic nomination debates, where candidates were given like 1 minute to actually respond to issues like healthcare, national defense, gun control. You can't answer that. You can barely ask the question in a minute, let alone answer it in a minute.
Yeah, and it's completely correct. And what you found, some of them were very savvy, is their handlers told them to use this phrase, "This is important." And a couple of them use that phrase because that phrase, by default, tends to make people wait. And what's important? They would use that phrase to get more time because they knew that you only get a minute and they needed more time. So they said, "This is important." And the monitor go, what? And they keep talking.
Yeah, which is just deceptive to the public. And it's wrong. Let them speak, or don't. I would rather ask fewer questions and let them actually answer fewer things, and you get a more full answer. Or why are they on the stage? I mean, what's the point?
I would actually rather, if I had to, I'd rather have more debates.
Yeah.
And some form of, a better form, I should say, of weaning them out. Right? I would have rather had 4 debates with 5 people on a stage versus 2 with 10.
Yeah.
And I would have rather had a better way of weaning them out, whether that is through polling. Polling isn't very good, but maybe it's through raising money or whatever they're using now, right? Some way that, chops people up after every round. So you go from, 4 with 5 on a stage each, so you can ask questions and have longer answers, go more back and forth. And then you go down to 3, and then down to 2, and then down to 1, and then boom, now you're rocking and rolling. I think that's the way it should have been done, but they didn't ask me.
Well, no. And for people who don't know a bit about you, let me backtrack, because I know we have a history, but for those who aren't familiar, Larry, you are one of the head voices, one of the leaders of the Libertarian Party in New York State, if not the nation. You ran for governor of New York in 2018. You've had many debates, and you currently, since the beginning of the year, 2019, you've been going across the state trying to build up the Libertarian Party, to grow it, to be able to expand it, and make the party a real viable choice versus Republicans and Democrats. Am I summing that up right?
Yes. I mean, look, since 2017 is when I began my campaign officially. I really began rocking and rolling with it in 2018, obviously, because that was the election year. And with the end of the election, several things happened. One, we got ballot access in New York State, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But not just that. We were able to actually have both the conservative and the Republican parties, and Scope, by the way, in New York, all lose their leadership.
Yeah.
All their leadership gone. And if you're either a Republican or a conservative or member of Scope, you're welcome, because that's because of my campaign. Because they were unable to do anything better than the past 16 years, and they needed to change. That was another bit of impact we had in the state. But not just that. On top of that, now we're building out individual county organizations. We only had about 17 of them out of 62 counties prior to the election. Now we have over 20 already, and we're pushing towards 40 by the end of the year. We hope to have all 62 by next year, by next election, 2020. That means we are a viable, realistic party in New York State, a real opportunity, a third party. We are the referees to actually make Democrats be better Democrats, Republicans be better Republicans. That's what we're doing right now. Now, I covered all 62 counties when I was running because they all matter. I talked about the idea of home rule, that each county should be its separate own county. I think it's a great idea. That's how we actually support diversity, is by allowing each county to be its own county. And I'm doing it again this year. I will cover all 62 this year also, and I'm not running for anything. Why?
Wow.
Because your rights matter whether I'm running or not. Your rights matter whether you live in Queens with me or any place else. Your rights always matter. Every county matters. New York State matters. So I'm still doing it.
Well, I should break the news for a lot of people who aren't aware. In Broome County, they just had their meeting. The Libertarian Party, the county party, had its meeting yesterday. I believe they qualified to become an official county party, and they elected a chairman, which I won't take away you guys' thunder. The announcement should be coming out shortly. But I know there's a new chairman that's been elected, and I believe they are official now.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah, and you were here just on Saturday, wasn't it?
That's correct. I was at what was the Park Diner? The Park Diner on Saturday. Yep. Had about a dozen or so people. And I, again, spoke about the issues that matter. One of the things that popped up was we also talked about taxation. So we discussed a little bit of education. So a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I go out of my way to go live, live everything on Facebook whenever I can, because I want people to know that you can just ask me any question, I'll answer it. And you can also see that I have no notes. I talk from the heart, and I try to give actual answers.
No, you've never brought up notes. You do a lot of research like I do, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And actually, I wanted to talk about a few things. Now, I also want to give a little bit of a plug. By the way, folks, if you're interested in learning more, you have a podcast of your own. By the way, I want to get on there. That's the Sharpe Way. And I'm showing people who are watching the video right now the Facebook page, as well as the Sharpe Way website page as well. And the links will be in the description on the YouTube channel. But I just wanted to show people
also
that.
the YouTube page.
Yeah, I'm showing them both. I'll have all the links on there. But I just wanted to show people that who are watching it in video with us live. Whoops, well, wrong spot. But I want to, and I want to be I definitely want to get on the podcast one of these days, talking about, you pick the subject, but of course I love the Second Amendment.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about your thoughts. Did you hear the news today? I know you've been out today. We weren't able to speak at 1 o'clock. Did you hear Governor Cuomo just announced the Hate Crimes Domestic Terrorism Act? Did you hear about that?
I have not. No, this is news to me. I was actually doing work today, trying to make some money for myself today.
Oh.
So I actually haven't spent as much time paying attention. What is this glorious thing that I'm sure will be nothing but amazing?
The brilliance of this idea is so astounding that there is no written legislation at this moment that I can find, and I have been searching. So all we have is a couple of headlines that say that this will help protect people from domestic terrorists, and in particular, I believe it's the New York Times is alleging that it's going to protect us from white supremacists, because that's the only domestic terrorists apparently in the nation.
But no, this is the same thing that I keep seeing, right? This goes back to the SAFE Act. I'm going to go back to the SAFE Act.
Oh, yeah.
The SAFE Act came out to stop what problem? Yeah, no.
Whoa, you there?
He was saving us from. It was a response to Sandy Hook, which happened in Connecticut, which hasn't happened any place in the country, even those that. So I don't know what happened there, but that's what happened, right? All of a sudden, it was to protect us from that, which never happened. Then supposedly the SAFE Act was keeping us totally safe. That's what they tell us. So now we have to put in red flag laws to protect us from what? No, it happened in New York State for this to happen. Why is this a problem? So the next thing, of course, is let's stop us from white supremacists, because what's happening in New York State? No, happening. These are fantasy scenarios that we're passing laws to solve nothing. And sadly, too many New Yorkers are so afraid that you'll just say yes to everything. We are simply eagerly and happily surrendering all of our rights because of fear. We're afraid of the boogeyman. And is there that big of a white supremacist movement in New York State that is taking over the state? I don't remember any of it.
Well, I can tell you that, and for people who don't know, Larry, when you get very excited, I think your volume is cutting out the line, and so you drop for a second there, just so you know. That's not us, folks. That's just the connection. But you're right. White supremacy under Obama, it was said by the FBI, was under 8,000 people. And I've seen the media screaming about nothing but white supremacy since 2017. And now they're trying to say, well, that's when I look at domestic terrorism, according to Obama, that's Fort Hood. According to President Obama and many Democrats, that's San Bernardino. According to Democrats and many progressives, that's the Orlando shooting. When I look at that, and I'm saying to myself, well, if that's what those aren't white supremacists. Even if you look at Dayton, which is an individual who's a Democrat, we're looking at even the most recent one with El Paso. That guy was in favor of gun control and was not a follower of President Trump. Where is this? Why are we worried about white supremacy when really the answer is the issue is more about mental health, I think, and we already have laws for this. We don't need a hate crime law.
Well, there are several parts here that bother me. The first one is I don't want to go off and do the mental health thing. A lot of people do. I don't want to walk down that road.
Okay.
Because I think that in reality, it's about people not being happy and feeling trapped. That's not always mental health.
Fair.
Everybody
Fair
gets
point.
depressed. It doesn't mean you necessarily have a mental health issue.
Okay.
Some people do. Don't get me wrong. Some people who have depression have a mental health issue, and some don't. But we all get unhappy. We all feel, trapped at one point in our life. And some people decide that the right answer is violence. That's the issue, right?
Yes.
That's the bigger issue over anything else. But there's a second piece. Do we think we're going to stop white supremacy? And white supremacy is a problem. I think it's overblown right now, but of course it's a problem. Many of these things are problems. How are we going to stop them? We're going to stop white supremacy by yelling at people? By putting them in jail? You know what happens when white people go to jail? They become more racist. When black people go to jail, what happens? They become more racist. When anybody goes to jail, they become more racist. That's what happens. Jail creates these. So putting them in prison makes more racists of all flock, of all color. It doesn't matter. So prison is not the answer. The German people fought the Nazis in the streets. And what did it create? A Nazi state. Right?
Right.
You can fight white supremacists all day long. That's not what ends it. We fought a war against Nazism, and we won the war. Guess what we still have? Nazis.
Yeah.
They haven't gone away.
Sure.
Fighting them and yelling at them isn't the way to win. They're still Americans. These white supremacists aren't German white supremacists, Russian white supremacists. They're not people in some other country that we can bomb. They're our own neighbors. When you yell at them and say, we won't what are you going to do? Just, okay, now you won't tolerate. I now love people of color. Is that what happens? Of course
No.
not. Yelling and screaming and fighting only makes them dig in deeper. When you demand for the impossible under the threat of force, what you get is deception. That's how it always works. So they will simply lie or go underground or whatever the case may be. You're not changing anybody by saying, no tolerance. Zero tolerance, in fact, can make things worse. What do I want to do? I want to open up a dialogue.
Okay.
I don't want to just call somebody a racist because I don't like them when they do something bad. I want to have a conversation. The best example I can give you is that we're doing right now is how the government does actually change people who are former Islamic terrorists. How do they get these people to not be terrorists anymore, right? By putting them in
Good
Guantanamo
question.
Bay. No. Terrorists. By bombing them. No, that creates more terrorists.
Right.
How do you do it? You actually have, this is a true story how the government does, one of the good things it does, very few, this is one thing it does well. It actually has people who are Muslim imams
Right.
converse with these people and talk to them about Islam and get them to believe, wait a minute, this is wrong. Now, does it work? Yes, not 100%, but it does work and has people who've actually helped us to get the bad guys because we've converted them through conversation. That's the way you turn people, not through force.
I have to say, I did not know. I've heard about the conversion and that they were working on that, but I wasn't sure about the details. So I'm glad to hear about that there is some effort going out there, because that is a question you always have to answer is, and then what? Which
Yes.
very rarely the government ever addresses. It's almost never, and then what? Here's the answer.
But remember, the government did this well because they wanted to find a way to kill more people, right? And the government's very good at killing people.
Well, yes, it
so
is.
they had to find a way to kill people. So they found a way to get these people who used to be terrorists to turn into other terrorists so they can kill them.
Well,
so
yeah.
it's a skill set the government has.
Yeah, it is a definite skill set. I have to tell you, though, like many of the laws that we see in the government, and I'm pro-government. I love the government. I like a limited government, but I'm not an anarchist. I don't want to see the government be destroyed. We hear that from progressive leaders of tomorrow plot or Antifa. I'm not in that wing, but I do believe that we need to see more definition here. When we're hearing that, and I've heard from one or two reports that I've seen that the governor has already signed this bill, this domestic terrorism hate crime law, into law, or I've seen it also said that he has a proposal, but no one knows what it is or what it does. That terrifies me.
Yes, and this is a thing that you will hear very often from too many legislators. They will say things like this: it doesn't matter if the bill is symbolic enough or not, as long as we do something after a tragedy.
I hate do something. I hate do something. That is the worst answer for everything.
That is correct. Yes, there's a joke that actually Judge Jim Gray, who was Gary Johnson's VP nominee in 2012, he used to say, he would say, "Don't just do something, stand there." And I love that joke.
I like that.
Yes, and that's his thing, right? He's like the opposite. Don't just do something, stand there.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to think first. Just sit there and do nothing, and then we'll figure out if we should even do something. I talk about this often in business, right?
Right.
This happens in business too, and I call this making a rule for an anomaly, right? You're in a business, you've got a that people use in your company, and they eat lunch there, and they work through lunches, and they get work done. And they've been doing it for 3 years with no problem. Then one day, Jim spills coffee. He spills coffee. What do? Anything to eat in the lunchroom ever again, and this, because we got to do something because Jim spilled the coffee. But no, when you do that, all of a sudden now what happens? All of the people who used to work there, the average person, they stop using the conference room now. So what's happening? They're eating at their desk, making things worse. They're not getting together anymore. Not as much work's getting done. They're inefficient. The room that you pay rent for every single day is now not being used, except by your elite. Your top sales rep walks in with lunch and a soda. Why? You're not. He's your top sales rep.
Right.
The partner walks in because she's the partner and part owner. You're not going to fire her because she's part owner. So the elites use it any way they want, regardless of your rules. And the average person is punished. Things get worse. And the actual answer should have simply been clean up the coffee.
Yeah.
That should have been the answer. Clean up the coffee and keep moving. And we see this all the time.
Oh, absolutely, we do. We really do. Let me switch up gears because I know I'm going to be talking more about this Hate Crimes Domestic Terrorism Act because it's so stupid on its face and it doesn't work. Look at Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore. All the laws you make don't affect criminals and the criminally insane. But let me switch gears here for a second. And I want to ask you, because I've been noticing there's been a lot of growth with libertarians, with progressives as well, progressive leaders of tomorrow, Citizen Action, Indivisible New York. The fringe left have been growing a lot in New York State and taking over the Democratic Party. We've seen the libertarians have been growing a lot throughout the entire state, as you mentioned, in the counties that are now being recognized and growing. And we're seeing Democrats, traditional Democrats, moderates, and Republicans have been diminishing somewhat. Tell me, what is the Libertarian Party saying, either to get more people or about this trend?
Yeah, let me give you a couple things, and so you can see kind of the bigger picture and how it affects the smaller picture.
Yeah.
The country itself is going left. That's happening.
Sure.
And by any way you measure, That's happening. And if you're a Democrat, good for you. If you're a Republican, not so good for you. But either way, that is what's happening. So why is it happening? It's happening because of one important reason: urbanization. More and more people are moving to cities. Why? Because after 2008, there was virtually no recovery except in cities. In fact, about 20 U.S. cities are responsible for about 80% of all new jobs in the nation. So people are rushing to cities. As people rush to cities, they become more left. Why do they become more left? Because cities, particularly large ones like New York City, we live on top of each other.
Sure.
There are, in 1 square mile of Manhattan, there's 60,000 people.
Easily.
1 square mile, 60,000 people in Manhattan. That's huge. That's bigger than half the counties in New York State don't even have. The entire county don't have 6,000 people in them. And that's just 1 square mile of Manhattan. Not just that we live on top of each other, we're also mixed cultures, mixed religions, mixed age, and we're transient. So we move through all day long. When you have a situation like that, there's no cultural glue that keeps people together. There aren't commonalities that create the right rules and regulations and ways of acting in our culture and society. So what do we do naturally? We beg for an arbiter. We beg for a referee, and that person tends to be government. So we ask for more government to kind of, dictate the rules and what we all should be doing because we're transient and living on top of each other. So by default, you become more left. That is happening. That's bad for Republicans. It's good for Democrats, but there's a problem. As you said, the fringe left.
Yeah.
The fringe left, you find people who are the regular Democrats start going, what's going on with this fringe left? My wife was one of them. My wife was a lifelong Democrat many, many years. And about 3 years ago, she said, I just can't be a Democrat anymore. They don't represent me. I can't be them anymore. Now, she won't become a Republican because she spent 30 some odd years believing Democrats are right and Republicans were evil. That's still in her background. So she won't become a Republican. But will she become a Libertarian? Yeah, she might. She absolutely could become a Libertarian. So good for the Libertarian Party in that we can pick up the unhappy Democrats who think the Democrat Party is going too far left. Not just that, we can pick up tons of Republicans who realize, particularly in a state like New York, statewide in general, they're ineffective. Republicans are effective locally. See them win often locally. But statewide, they're a completely broken party, and they do nothing. They haven't won an election in 17 years. So they're not going to win anything, and the state's getting bluer. So the Libertarian Party becomes that place for them to go. The unhappy Republican, the unhappy Democrat, we're here. Because we don't require you to be liberal or conservative. We just require you to leave the other alone. Let everybody be who they want to be, and we're good.
Okay. And I do want to give I am a Republican. I am going to give stand up for Nick Langworthy, the new chairman. He's just taken over from Ed Cox, who was in for the last 2 decades. And so, he's got to give him a chance. He may get some things done. I mean, as long as we don't have a single party leadership like we have right now that allows Governor Cuomo to do things like he has been, red flag laws, the driver's licenses for illegal aliens that the entire state opposes, increasing taxes, spending like drunk sailors couldn't spend as badly as the New York State government does. I mean, that's what you get with a single party. May not be great with 2 parties, and maybe not great with 3, although I think that could help as well. But definitely having a single party is not helping New York State.
Well, no, this is the most important thing, and I know you're a Republican. I just want to be very forward with you.
Sure.
The only way we are going to break the single party in New York State is with the Libertarian Party. And it's not because the Libertarian Party is going to become the majority. It's going to be a long time before that happens. I get that. I'm realistic here. But the Libertarian Party can be the actual middle ground that can bridge the gap between both, right? If you've got a Senate that's close Democrat, close Republican, you get 10 Libertarians in there. That's the swing vote. That's what we need. Libertarian Party swing vote there. And if you want to get rid of the governor, lieutenant governor, Republicans never going to win a governor in at least the next 10 years. I mean, it'll take that long to make a massive change in New York State and then a massive change in the nation to bring this state to become red. So Republicans not going to win governorship. I don't care who you put in charge. That's a fantasy for at least 10 years, if not 20. A Libertarian could, because a Libertarian could get the Republican vote and the Democrat vote. That's how a Libertarian could win.
Well, I know that you're interested in the governorship as well. So
I'm a little biased.
You got some bias there, yeah. But that being said, but I want the people to hear different ideas. I want to make your case. That's why you're here. So I'm happy to hear you making that case, because that's otherwise, how are people going to make a good choice? No matter what their choice is, they have to make good choices. They got to hear. So I'm glad about that. But I want to switch subjects one more time because I don't know if you heard about the Pan Am Games that just went on. Did you hear about that?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Did you hear about the Pan Am Games that just went on? A kid named...
I did. No.
Okay. It's very similar to what happened with Colin Kaepernick, what happened with Rapinoe, who's the head of the U.S. women's soccer. This kid,
Yep.
Race Mbowen and Gwen Berry, two of them, were representing the United States at the Pan Am Games, and they both decided to protest when they won their medals and basically disgrace America and denounce America afterwards, that, you know, we're a nation of racism and wild gun violence, and we're just horrible people, which I take great offense with. But let me ask you, from your experience with many libertarians, with yourself as well, how do you see that? Is it disgraceful? Is it disrespectful when we see these athletes showing kids that they're dragging the flag, that they're talking down America, that they're saying that we're a horrible country, even as people in China are waving the American flag and singing the American national anthem and using it because we are the symbol of democracy and freedom in the world, but our own kids here who are living better lives than they are trashing our country? I mean, where do you go with that? How do you see that?
You know, for them to protest with the knee, I'm totally fine with it. I know people get completely insane and get angry.
Yeah.
Fine, take a knee. You've won something. You have the bully pulpit, and you want to use that bully pulpit, which you earned through through doing your great sports, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And now people are watching you, and you want to take a knee. Go ahead. You remember the 60s?
Yeah.
When the guys who won in track put the black fist in the air?
Yeah.
Yeah. Two, you won. You have a bully pulpit. Trump has one. He used the bully pulpit. Cuomo won. He used the bully pulpit. They talk about what they think is important all the time. Cuomo gets on and talks about the same crap all day long.
True.
He's a governor, so these guys can't. Trump does the same thing. I have no problem with that. Now, trashing the country, I have a problem with that. I do.
Yeah.
But protesting, I have no problem with it whatsoever. If you gained that platform with your performance and you want to put that black fist in the air or take a knee, go ahead. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I'm not mad about it at all. Go protest. It's a sports game. It doesn't bomb people. People don't die. No one's losing their life. No one's losing their country from it. It just makes people feel bad. And good protesting should make people feel bad.
See, and there I disagree with you because, one, no, I agree that people should protest if they believe in something strongly. I completely agree with that. I disagree that that's the moment to do it. That's a celebration of America, and that's because America gave them the opportunity to be there, which most nations can't. I mean, slavery's still going on in Africa. Women still can't drive or vote in many countries around the world.
Yes, but I don't compare myself to countries in Africa.
No.
I don't do that. I compare myself to modern nations. I compare myself to modern states. I compare myself to my peer group.
Yeah, but
I can't. If I compare myself to some of the horrible states across the world, my God, anything.
Well, here's my thing, Larry.
I'll go cop and just be happy if I compare myself to them.
Oops, you're cutting off a little bit, and I'm not cutting you off. It's just the phone is breaking. But let me say this. I think that the best time that they could do that, after they get off that podium, they're going to have a press conference. People like Colin Kaepernick, he can call a press conference. They're still going to get the national and international attention in that press conference. That's your moment to do your protest. Not on the stage when you're supposed to be celebrating your nation and the ability of that nation to get you to that stage. That's why I find it disrespectful. If they want to protest in the press conference and if they believe in their hearts that America's horrible somehow because they've never been anywhere else in the world and don't understand the troubles other nations have to be able to do what they do every day, that's on them. But being on that stage, that's not the moment. And I don't think that's a good lesson for our kids who are growing up looking at them and saying, oh, I need to be like that. I need to protest America. I need to trash America to be able to have success. Because that's the message I think that's going out there. I don't think it's the message of the protest because they could do that in a press conference.
So you're asking them, this is what you're asking them to do. Here is your biggest moment where most people see you. Don't protest then. Walk away and protest where less people will see you and care about you?
I don't agree with that. The only reason, yes, they're getting the press because they're making the protest, because the nation and the world, some nations are celebrating the fact that our own people are losing their mind. And some people are promoting it because they're like Plot and Antifa and they think the government's horrible. And I can see both sides of it. Maybe it's my preference. Maybe it's just my bias. I'm not saying I'm not, but I think it's wrong. I think it's the wrong format. And I think that they can, if they were to have a press conference afterwards, which they do, and if in that press conference they suddenly went into a diatribe about how much they think America is horrible, even though they won't leave this country and they've never been anywhere else, then go for it. And you know what? That press conference will get the same attention because it's the same attack on America that the people who want to attack America want to promote. So I don't agree that that's the only time they're going to get. They have another opportunity. They don't have to be disrespectful in making their protest. But that's me. I don't know.
I get it. This one we're going to agree to disagree. I don't have a problem with it. And the reality of it is so some guy takes a knee. Did all of a sudden, did we go to war? Did a law change? Did somebody get a job? Did somebody's kid get a better education? Did someone not lose their farm? Yeah. No, it's some guy who's really good at throwing a ball or catching a ball or whatever he does, and he took a knee. Well, good for you, man. Take a knee.
No, you got a point. It is more of an emotional reaction. It's not of the politics we talk about often, not the biggest issue, but it counts. I think it counts still.
I'm not that concerned. If people want to protest, they should be able to. And look, America didn't just give them a chance. These guys or gals, they're also great athletes, and they've proven themselves among their peers as being better than the others in whatever game they're playing, and they're good at that. Good for them, and they've earned a spot in the spotlight. And if they want to choose to do it, look, they pay a price for it too, because people like you are calling them jerks and bad and whatever.
Well, I haven't said that.
So they also pay a price for it. They both gain from their side, but they also lose from the opposite side. So they also pay a price for this.
Well, that's true. That is true.
I mean, Kaepernick's career is over.
As well it should be. He's not that great a quarterback.
But the point is, he paid a price for it.
Yeah. Well,
and these guys who are taking knees or whatever, there are going to be some who aren't going to talk to them now. There are going to be some outlets who would have given them some type of sponsorship, who now won't. So they will lose something. On the opposite side, there will be some very left that will jump all over them and give them something. Of course. So they took a side. I don't have a problem with that. And again, it doesn't. What I was saying, it doesn't pick my pocket or break my leg. Fine, go do your thing.
Yeah, good point. And I can see your point of view, and I'm sure we're going to get lots of people in the comments talking about this one side or the other. But that's how we get to answers. That's how we get to a consensus. So that's a good thing. Let me ask you, Larry. I know you've been running around the state. Like I said, you were just here in Binghamton, and I was working that day, so I wasn't able to meet up with you because I always try to meet you in person whenever possible. What have you got going on? What's the next couple of things that you're doing?
Tomorrow, I'm heading back upstate again. I am going to a father's rights rally in Albany. I was the only candidate who talked about how broken family court is here in New York State, how it's crushing people, mostly fathers, but also mothers too, but mostly fathers, and how it's alienating children and hurting our kids in this state. And I'm not done it. Just because I'm not running doesn't mean this isn't important. So I'm shining a light on it. I'm speaking there, and I'll be at that event in Albany at 11 a.m. is when it begins. I'm then going to be in Schenectady County and also Putnam County at two separate events trying to support basically the Hudson Valley, and trying to make sure they are rocking and rolling and seeing that liberty is the answer, that the Libertarian Party is the answer. So I'll be at Pinhead Susan's in Schenectady at 3 tomorrow, and at McCarthy's Grill House in Carmel, Hamlet, at 6:30 tomorrow. So I'm doing 3 events tomorrow. I'm not done. I'm still rocking and rolling, brother.
That's a lot. And then on your podcast, which is The Sharpe Way, which people can check out, let me ask you, when do you normally do that?
Well, it's funny. I was gonna just start it, but the second I actually letting people know I was doing it, I actually on what media platform I may actually jump on.
That's a good. I got to tell you, that's great news. They won't touch me, but they got you, so that's good. I think they're afraid of me personally, but the fact that you're going to be on a major format,
they'll get you anyway.
Well, you know what? Get me on the show. I want to be on there. Tell me how long I've got. Give me the issue. We'll go at it. We always have a great time with that. Sponsors will find it interesting too.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to that. Do you have an idea of when that time frame may be?
Yeah, I should have an answer. I have 3 different media companies I'm still in conversations with. I hope to have an answer by the end of next week. That's my hope. If I have it done by the end of next week, then I should hopefully start it, I hope, by September 1.
By September 1st. So we're right on it. It's just around the corner then.
That's what I'm hoping for. I was supposed to start July, but that's when people start saying, wait a minute, Larry, don't do it. How about us instead? And the issues, just so we're clear, the issues are paywalls, right? I really want to get as much of what I'm doing and saying out to the masses as much as possible.
Right.
All of the media companies have some form of paywall. So we have to find an answer for how much goes in the paywall, how much goes outside the paywall, what IP is mine, what IP is theirs. So there's a lot of issues to deal with there.
Yeah, and for people who don't know what we're talking about with paywalls, well, think of it as paid subscriptions versus totally free. Like No Soundbites Allowed is totally free, although we could use some advertisers. And that's how we get it out there. But if I'm with a major company, well, that's when you get more advertisers. You maybe have to pay for subscriptions. Some content is exclusive. So we're talking about that when we talk about paywalls. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right. So just so how people understand what we're talking about here, because I know what you're talking about, but the average person may not have ever heard this stuff before. But
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to hearing about this next week. You got to send me out a message. Let me know whatever format you're going to be on, because, of course, I'm waiting for it so I can follow it. And obviously, I'll be commenting, too.
Of course.
Yeah. But is there anything, I know we were looking for half an hour. We're on a little bit longer. We always are on longer.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And we can keep going. That's never been a problem with us.
Absolutely.
But is there anything else, either on the Libertarian Party, local or statewide, any other things that you wanted to get out there?
Yes, look, there's something that's important.
Yeah.
Everybody should be considering supporting the Libertarian Party, even if you don't want to become a Libertarian. I hope you all become Libertarians. Obviously, I'm completely biased.
Of course.
But even if you say, no, I want to be a Republican, I want to be a Democrat, a strong Libertarian Party, third party, is going to make for better Democrats and better Republicans. Because when it's just two parties, all one side does is say, I'm going to protect you against the other. I don't have to be good or effective or even follow my own principles as long as I protect you from the other. And that's what's happening. But when you have a third party, particularly a Libertarian Party, that will touch both sides of this, they can say, you know what? No, better be right or I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Look, the Democrats are supposed to be about civil liberties. They're not, but they're supposed to be. So if you want civil liberties, you either do one of two things. You hold your nose and vote Democrat, or you don't vote. Democrats know that. So they talk a good game. They talk about civil liberties, but do nothing about it. But if there's a real Libertarian Party there that will also affect and help civil liberties, there's another option for that voter. So Democrats have to be better. Republicans are supposed to be about small business and lower taxes. They're not, but they're supposed to be. So what do you do if you want lower taxes? Well, you hold your nose and vote Republican, or you don't vote. Well, if there's a Libertarian Party there, you have to be, because we are about small business and and less taxes. So there's another option. It will force each party to be better. you should, anybody should, and you're in New York, you're in a nation, you should want a powerful, effective Libertarian Party to make all the parties better.
And just to let people know, we've had this discussion several times, and you've always been very consistent about your reasoning for the strength of the Libertarian Party. You're a great defender of it, and you make a very compelling case. You truly do. And so I want people to, that's why we're here. Let them know, let them investigate and find out more, and they can go to the Libertarian of. Is this website still the same since the change now?
Yeah, I think it's still lpny.org. I think that's right.
Okay, I thought it was, but I know there was there were some changes going on, so I wasn't sure if that had changed or not.
Or is it? Oh, I think it's LPNY. Is it? I'm gonna mess that up. I'm sure I'm gonna mess it up and make somebody angry because I probably should know that. So yes, it is. It is lpny.org. That's what it is. Yes.
Right.
So look, and the reality of it is, you can vote more than just your party.
Of course.
I mean, you can vote Republican locally, Democrat locally, and then vote Libertarian at the state level or county level, or reverse. Vote Republican, Democrat at the county level, and then locally, your local guy, vote Libertarian. You can mix and match your vote. And the Libertarian Party, very often, you will see us fall in line with either of your party, but because we are Libertarians, we will probably be stronger, more aggressive on those issues.
Yeah, you make a great case. I know we've been on for about 45 minutes here, so I want to thank you for the extra time.
Of course.
And say hello to the wife for me. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again soon in September. I want to see this program. I want to know what's going on there. And of course, always give my love to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, my beloved congressperson. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, she's she's special in my heart. I'll tell you that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
that's great.
Larry, thank you. I hope you have a great weekend, and try and get some rest in there too.
I will do what I can.
All right.
Have a good day, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. So that was Larry Sharpe of the Libertarian Party. Great guy. I have had many conversations with him, and I'm not kidding when I say when we meet up, normally it can go for hours and hours of him and I talking. Some of the things we agree with, some of the things we disagree with. And you got a little bit of that today. But overall, I enjoy having a conversation with him. I think he does a great job of explaining himself, not hitting on sound bites, and really giving you what his thoughts are. And I respect that a lot. So I want to thank him for having the conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments about everything, about the Hate Crimes Domestic Terrorism Act, which I will be speaking more about very soon, especially once we finally get some written documents on that. I'll be talking more about the Pan Am Games, the disrespect. As a matter of fact, I just had a video out earlier today about the disrespect of some athletes while we have people in other countries loving America. And we're going to be talking more about what's going on with the progressives, the libertarians, and New York state politics. It's all here. We hope you're going to come back and check out the show more and more often. And we always are looking for your comments, looking for your feedback. And until then, I hope everyone's going to be well. We're going to be on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I have another guest coming on, and so we'll be on at 1 o'clock. Please check us out, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Thank you, folks.
And rise up.